What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and once again I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40K. In this one we will be taking a look at none other than Jaghatai Khan fighting against the Death Guard. So every time I think of Primarchs, unfortunately, one of the last ones that goes through my head is that of Jaghatai Khan, which sucks because he is so awesome, he's amazing, he's a great swordsman. The way his army works with like bikes and mobility, it's really great, but unfortunately I feel like he just gets left out because there's much cooler Primarchs. But if your favorite Primarch is Jaghatai Khan, let me know down in the comments what you think his best feat is. And yes, I know about his battle with Mortarion, we'll get to that in a different day, but for now let's build up to it by seeing this excerpt in The Lost and the Damned that pits the Khan against the Plague Marines of the Death Guard. So let's enjoy. Jaghatai Khan was alone, and the enemy saw immediately what a prize was within their grasp. Hundreds of Mortarion suns closed in from the fog all around him, bolt guns blazing. His armor sparked with impacts. For the moment he withstood the assault, but even his panoply was not immune to concentrated fire. The Warhawk lived by one rule above all, one learned in the moment his adopted family were slaughtered by the Curians, and borne out in his war against the Palatine on Chagoris. He knew that attack was the strongest form of defense. The Khan fought with silent fury, charging into the ranks of the Death Guard with his toll war spinning in a blurring figure of 8. He crashed into them without slowing, his sword cutting each one of them down. Ceramite was atomized by the blade's disruption field. Viscera spilled onto the earth. Polluted blood showered him. Through his armor filters, he smelled the corruption upon Mortarion's sons. Theirs was sickness of flesh and soul. They fought slowly, without the finesse of other legions, but the doggedness they were known for had been intensified by their fall into darkness, and no matter how many he killed, they pressed at him without cease. In the thick of them, he was safe from the firestorm they unleashed. Hand-to-hand combat was on his terms, not theirs. The Death Guard favored disciplined lines and overwhelming close-range fire to bring down their enemies, taking whatever they received in return with grim stoicism. The Khan refused them their preference, leaping from them, barging down ranks before they formed. He fought unpredictably, throwing off the offensive of his foes, who rightfully guessed he wished to regain their palace. Though he rushed them and pushed them back, or cut diagonally through their formation, always the pattern of his movements took him closer to the defenses. If he was forced to take 50 steps away from the walls to throw them into disarray, he would take 51 back. His fury would have inspired 1,000 bards had any been able to see it. The fogs made this fight a lonely struggle. Hidden from all knowledge, he faced the Death Guard alone, his Vox and Locator beacon jammed by haywire ordnance. The enemy died by the dozen, for not one was a match for a Primarch. But though he fought like a god of old, he was but one being against an army. And not even the sons of the Emperor were tireless or supplied with infinite battle fortune. The first cut to break through his armor came after his 40th kill. A son of Mortarion lunged at the back of his knee while he was engaging forward to the front. The weapon he sought to slay a Primarch with was a simple combat knife, but perseverance pushed it through the armor, ribbing of the joint seal. The Khan felt the blow as an angry hot sting, and the attacker paid for the injury with his life. The Khan smashed backwards with his Toll War's pommel. The Emperor, given strength caving in ceramite, perished by rot and grinning head beneath. He bellowed in anger, slashing across his transhuman chest to drive back the assailants to the front. 3 of them died in a storm of disruption lightning, their innards laid open to the chemical fog. A 4th lost his left arm. A 5th took a blow to the head that spun him around and knocked him down. The Khan would have finished him, but he was reaching instead for his damaged left knee, trying to pull out the knife lodged in his suit. At the first attempt, his fingers slipped off of a blood-slipped hilt made for the hands of smaller than his. His second attempt was foiled by a renewed attack. The knife penetrated 7 centimeters into his flesh, no more, interfering minimally with the bones of his joint. He had suffered far worse from deadlier weapons and fought on. Trusting to his engineered physiology to blunt the pain, he pressed forwards, but as he did so, he felt the strength running from his body, along with his unstaunched blood. Another Death Guard died, and then another. Explosives were raining down on him now from the enemy side, seeking him out, as this legion shelled their own troops in their lust to slay a Primarch. The Khan wondered if Mortarion saw his battle there, and grimly ordered his death, whatever the cost to his sons. There was a soulless pragmaticism to the act typical of the Lord of Death. The fog swirled with the rain of fire, lifting to reveal a horde of warriors in dirty white and green. A hotness spread from their piercing knife, infecting his blood with a fever. Incredulous, the Khan fought still, but a touch of worry grazed his heart. Never in all of his days had he been ill, and he instinctively recognized disease in him. He was human after all, on some distant level. His bones ached like ice, and his flesh blazed like the forge. Sweat dripped from his brow. He looked around at his brother's corrupted sons, and wondered what awful pact had made them so, and he gave them power to sicken a Primarch, even still. "Mortarion, what have you done?" he shouted. There was no answer. His body warred with the infection of the knife. Well-being came and went as the knife's poisons overcame each trick of his engineered physiology. He scabbled for the knife again as he fought the great tall war burning through the air to obliterate yet more of the traitors, but he could not take enough time to pull the knife free. It was so firmly embedded and too delicate for his fingers to easily pluck out. A surge of bile rose in his throat. His limbs shook. He was slowing. The enemy was gathering closer, like the pack hunters of ancient Earth steppes, closing in on the great beasts of those times. His next blow was weak enough to be turned aside. Arms clad in algae-green gauntlets gripped his forearm. With a bellow of anger, he wrenched himself free, and stood for a moment unmolested before they surged forwards, hacking and stabbing with more diseased weapons. The Khan of Khans ends his days, he thought, not upon the sea of green grass in one final glorious charge, but being dragged down and butchered in the mud. They wrestled with him, their filthy knives dragging grooves into a ceramite. They tried to get all the joints in his arms, growing legs and neck, crawling on him like vermin. He threw them off, once, twice, but the third time was an exhausted heave. His body burned with disease, and strength was leaving him. A creature of unclean gods, they were no longer the Emperor's work. Brought forwards, a huge rusted axe for the executioner struck. "I am Jaghatai Khan," he shouted, the passion of his words driving them back. "I am Jaghatai Khan, loyal son of the Emperor, and I have ridden well." And that is where I will leave it at. So as we can see here, things are not looking good for Jaghatai Khan. Obviously, this is a Primarch taking on a whole army. Not just that, but the army is covered in mist and miasma, and unfortunately, he has been poisoned. The blade of just a single Death Guard Space Marine was enough to bring a Primarch down. You do see him, obviously overpowering, besting anything that comes his way, but slowly but surely, the embrace of Nurgle claims the Primarch. So at this point in time, things are not looking very good for Jaghatai Khan, but we do know that there is a meeting between him and Mortarion that we'll get to very shortly. But for now, let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of a Primarch literally succumbing to just 7 centimeters of a plague knife into the back of his knee? Is this a meme, such as, I took an arrow to the knee, and, that's what took down a Primarch? But anyway, let me know your thoughts, your feelings below, because a lot of people, from what I know, really took this to heart. Like, a Primarch such as Jaghatai Khan should not be taken down by a mere scratch. But anyway, this has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate. If you guys like what we do here, support us by liking our Patreon page. Super thanks is another way. Commenting, subscribing, all that jazz. And we'll continue on with this lore very soon. This has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.